The night she came back into my life, it was raining the same way it had the night we first fell in love. I was closing my small bookstore, exhausted from another quiet day, when I saw her standing across the street under a flickering lamppost. For a second, I thought my mind was playing tricks on me. But then she stepped forward, and even after all those years, I recognized the way she held her shoulders when she was trying not to fall apart. My college love, the girl who once promised me forever, the girl who had chosen someone else. And now she was back, begging me to save her from a toxic marriage. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause for a moment. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, in the idea that love can survive even the harshest storms, then please like this video, share it with someone who believes in hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this deserve to be heard, and your support keeps them alive. When I walked toward her that night, the years between us felt like fragile glass under my feet. Her name was Ayesha, and once upon a time, she was my entire world. We met in our second year of college, two ambitious dreamers sitting in the back row of an economics lecture. She had this laugh that could silence my doubts and a mind that challenged me in the best ways. We studied together, built plans together, and imagined a future that seemed unbreakable. But life, as it often does, rewrote our script. Her family wanted stability, wealth, security. I was just a boy with big dreams and an empty wallet. When a successful businessman entered her life, offering everything her parents valued, she slowly slipped away from me. Not because she stopped loving me, but because she was afraid of disappointing the people she loved. The day she told me she was getting married, I felt something inside me collapse. I didn't fight for her. Maybe that was my mistake. Maybe I thought love should never be forced. I let her go, convincing myself that if she was happy, that would be enough. But I wasn't strong, I was broken. I buried myself in work, built my bookstore from scratch, and learned to live with the echo of what we could have been. Standing in front of me now, years later, she didn't look like the confident bride I had seen in wedding pictures on social media. Her eyes were tired, her smile hesitant, her spirit dimmed. The rain soaked through her clothes, but she didn't seem to notice. I brought her inside the store without asking questions. The smell of old paper and coffee filled the air, and for a brief second, it felt like college again, like we were just two students hiding from the world. She didn't waste time with small talk. She told me her marriage had been a mistake. The man she had married was charming in public but cruel behind closed doors. He controlled what she wore, who she spoke to, and where she went. He monitored her phone, criticized her constantly, and made her feel small in ways that left no visible scars but deep invisible wounds. At first, she believed she could fix him. She believed patience and love would soften his anger. Instead, it only grew. Listening to her, I felt a storm rising inside me. Part of me was angry. Angry that she had chosen that life over us. Angry that she had come back only when things had fallen apart. But another part of me saw the girl who once stayed up all night helping me prepare for exams. The girl who believed in my dreams before anyone else did. That part of me couldn't turn her away. She told me she had tried to leave. Her husband had threatened to ruin her reputation, to drag her family into scandal. In our society, a divorced woman carries a weight that isn't hers to bear. She was trapped not just by fear but by expectations. She had no one she could trust anymore. No one except me. For days after that night, my mind was a battlefield. I asked myself whether helping her meant reopening old wounds. I had worked so hard to rebuild my life. The bookstore was finally profitable. I had peace, routine, stability. Letting her back in felt like inviting chaos. But every time I tried to ignore her messages, I remembered the desperation in her eyes. I remembered how alone she must have felt to come to me. I decided to help her, but not recklessly. I connected her with a lawyer friend who specialized in domestic cases. I helped her document everything carefully and legally. I made sure she understood her rights. This wasn't about revenge or drama. It was about safety and dignity. The process was slow and exhausting. Her husband tried to manipulate her, alternating between apologies and threats. He promised change one day and unleashed fury the next. Watching her go through that cycle was painful, but I stayed steady. I reminded her that courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's the quiet decision to try again tomorrow. As weeks turned into months, something began to shift. She started attending therapy. She began to rediscover small pieces of herself. She would sit in the corner of my bookstore, reading quietly, sometimes helping me rearrange shelves. Customers assumed she worked there. In a way, she did. She was rebuilding herself between the pages of stories about resilience and redemption. But my struggle wasn't over. Being around her awakened feelings I thought I had buried. I would catch myself remembering the way we used to dream together. I had to constantly check my heart. Was I helping her because it was right, or because I secretly hoped she would come back to me? I refused to let my emotions cloud her freedom. She needed independence, not another emotional dependency. The day she finally filed for divorce, her hands trembled, but her voice was firm. Her husband's threats intensified for a while, but legal boundaries were set. Her family, initially shocked and disappointed, slowly began to see the truth. They had prioritized status over her happiness once now. They were learning the cost of that mistake. It wasn't an easy journey, but it was honest. One evening, months later, we found ourselves closing the bookstore together. The rain had returned, almost like the universe loved poetic timing. She looked different, not because life had suddenly become perfect, but because she had reclaimed her strength. There was light in her eyes again. She thanked me, not just for helping her legally, but for believing in her when she couldn't believe in herself. She admitted that leaving me years ago was the biggest regret of her life. Hearing that stirred something deep within me. For so long, I had imagined what it would feel like to hear those words. But now that I did, they didn't bring triumph. They brought clarity. I told her that loving someone doesn't mean owning their future. Back in college, we were two kids chasing dreams. Now we were adults shaped by pain and growth. I had learned that real love isn't about rescuing someone so they belong to you. It's about helping them stand so they belong to themselves. We didn't rush into anything. No dramatic declarations, no immediate rekindling of romance. Instead, we chose patience. We chose to rebuild trust the way you rebuild a house after a storm, brick by brick. We started spending time together outside the shadow of crisis. We talked about our fears openly. We laughed again, genuinely. There were moments when doubt crept in. I wondered if history would repeat itself. She worried that I might resent her someday, but each time, we confronted those fears instead of hiding them. Growth had changed us. Pain had matured us. A year after that rainy night, the bookstore hosted a small community event about healing and second chances. She stood beside me, not as a victim of her past, but as a survivor who had reclaimed her narrative. When I looked at her, I didn't see the girl who left me. I saw the woman who fought her way back to herself. Life isn't a fairy tale. Not every first love returns. Not every broken marriage ends in strength. But sometimes, when two people are willing to confront their past honestly and grow beyond it, something beautiful can emerge. Not the naive love of youth, but a deeper, steadier love built on respect and understanding. If this story has touched your heart, if you've ever believed in second chances or found the courage to walk away from something toxic, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. And before this story ends, I have a special request for you. Comment the word hope below if you believe it's never too late to choose yourself. In the end, saving her didn't mean fighting her battles for her. It meant standing beside her while she found the strength to fight them herself. And perhaps that was the lesson we were both meant to learn. Love isn't about possession or pride. It's about courage, healing, and the willingness to grow. The rain eventually stopped that night, leaving the streets clean and shimmering under the city lights. As we locked up the bookstore and walked into a future neither of us could fully predict, I realized something profound. Sometimes love returns not to restart the past, but to give it a better ending.